Hi everyone, welcome to the Granby Mini Medical School. I'm Dr. Herb Abelson, and I'm going to be your host over the next few weeks as we create episodes of the Mini Medical School which we hope are going to be informative and interesting for you to watch. And I might add, fun for you and for us in the process. We're going to talk about things like, what does it mean to be a medical student? And corollary of that is, how do we even choose medical students? What it means to be a doctor in training and a doctor in practice, what kind of problems do they have? And then we're going to go on and talk about common problems that afflict all of us, especially as we age. And I'm speaking personally about those sorts of things. We're going to talk about diabetes and heart disease, hypertension, stroke, the common things that afflict all of us, and certainly are going to be major issues for people in our great town of Granby. So I hope you'll stay with us. I hope this is going to be informative and interesting, and most of all, fun. And what I would say to you is, let's get started. Hi folks, welcome to this episode of the Granby Mini Medical School. I'm Dr. Herb, and with me is Lieutenant Mike Pandora of our Granby Fire Department. I'm particularly interested in talking with Mike because he has done something extraordinary, and the secret that Mike has, I want him to tell you right now. Mike, what have you accomplished in the last year?
Well, in the last just over 12 months, I've lost a little over 100 pounds, 104 pounds total.
Whoa, 104 pounds.
Yep.
That is incredible. How did you do that?
It was actually pretty simple. It was a matter of counting calories and getting some exercise and balancing what I ate.
Now, enlarge that a little for us. What do you mean counting calories? How did you know to do that, and how did you learn how to do that, and how did you actually do it?
Well, somebody I work with actually was talking about, he was counting calories for a different reason because he's working out trying to build muscle, and he had an app on his iPhone called MyFitnessPal. So I looked at it, started using it, put in, it's generally designed for weight loss, although you can use it to gain weight as well if that happens to be your goal. But I put in that I wanted to lose an average of 2 pounds a week, which is not an unreasonable amount. So it told me how many calories I needed to eat and what percentage of carbohydrates and proteins and fats, and you try to kind of balance that out as best you can, as close as you can get to it, and you count your calories. So I started counting and literally weighing and portioning out everything, single thing I ate during the day and keeping track of it. And then the other piece that it adds to it is when you do exercise, it allows you extra calories for your exercise. So I started tracking my exercise as well.
So I think you have made an extraordinarily important point. You recorded everything. You actually kept track of what you were eating right from the get-go.
Right from the get-go, and it's now been 376 days.
And
I've counted every single thing that I've eaten.
Okay, I think that's key, and I think that's key for everyone who's watching. If you really want to do things, you've got to make a major effort, and it's got to be one that you can see results from.
Yes.
All right, so why did you do this?
I just, it started a year ago, March, where I did a stair climb for the American Lung Association in full firefighter gear to raise money for the Lung Association. And I was at full weight at that point. I was just about 300 pounds. And I did the stair climb 24 floors in full firefighter gear with an air pack on. which is another 50 to 60 pounds of gear as well. It took me 36 minutes to get to the top floor, to the 24th floor, and I was not doing well physically. You know, I have asthma to begin with, and I just really was not feeling well, and I just decided at that point enough was enough and I needed to do something about it. So I did. And I started walking and then jogging and running and counting calories. And eventually that led to, you know, running a half marathon and finishing it, and then redoing that same stair climb this past November. And instead of 36 minutes, I did it in 6.5 minutes, the same stair climb. So
had to make you feel pretty terrific.
It was just an awesome feeling that I could, you know, here's something I struggled with 8 months prior, and now I did it. I mean, it was hard work, but I did it in 30 minutes less time, doing the same thing.
So there was a physical issue here. You just didn't feel you were fit enough. Did you think of any health consequences to being overweight?
Oh, I mean, of course there are health consequences. You know, fortunately for me, the only health issue that I have and still have is asthma, and that's probably not going to change, although it is better. I wasn't dealing with cholesterol yet. I wasn't dealing with blood pressure yet. I wasn't dealing with diabetes yet, although it was borderline. I wasn't on any medications for any of those, but had I continued, and this was a conversation with my primary care physician, had I continued, those things would have come up.
All right, so let's talk about that for just a minute so that folks understand that. At the time you started, what was your waist circumference?
I was at around a 44 to a 46 waist.
44 to 46, okay. And do you have any idea what your BMI was, the body mass index?
My BMI at that point was around 36.
36, okay. For people who are listening, there are body mass index calculators that you can see on the internet. I'm not going to tell you how to do it now because that's just a little much, but it's just a measure of your mass or weight divided by your height, and unfortunately it's in metric units, so it has to be converted. But there are indicators, index indicators on the internet. You can get one of those. Okay, so your waist circumference was 44 or greater, and your BMI was way up there over 30.
That's correct.
Okay, and what I want people to understand that there's something called metabolic syndrome. And metabolic syndrome is a condition that if you have excess belly fat, and Mike did at that time, he had a waist circumference that was 44 to 46, you're at risk for developing cardiovascular disease and diabetes, particularly if you have increased blood pressure, which you didn't have at that time.
Right.
If you have increased fasting blood glucose, which presumably you didn't have. You did at that time.
Borderline.
You were borderline at that time. If you have increased triglycerides, or if you have increased and high-density lipoprotein cholesterol. If you have two of those four, triglycerides, the HDL, the blood pressure, or the fasting blood glucose, then you're at real risk for this metabolic syndrome and cardiovascular disease or diabetes. And you and your primary care physician talked about that, and you knew you were at risk.
I was at risk.
Okay, so let me just say another word about this. For all of us, a BMI greater than 25 is starting to get overweight, and over 30, you're starting to get into obesity, and over 35 to 40, you're getting into massive obesity. So it's something that you can look up on the internet and be truthful with yourself, though. Measure your height and really measure your weight, put it into the calculator, see what your BMI is. Also, exhale and measure your waist circumference. For metabolic syndrome, for the possibility of getting it, once it's greater than 40 for males, you better start to think about it. And for obesity, even when it's greater than 37, you ought to start worrying. For women, greater than 35 is a real risk factor, and above 31 and a half, you got to start worrying about these things. Okay, so you started to undertake a program. How did you actually start it? What did you do at the onset? What were those first days like that got you going on this? Because weight loss, if you were 300 pounds, you tried to lose weight in the past, didn't you?
I did, and I was successful with different programs, but I gained it all back.
Okay, so you yo-yo.
Absolutely.
Like almost everyone
Yep.
who tries to lose weight. Almost any diet that's out there will make you lose weight for a while. However, you come right back up. So how did you get your mind around this to say, I'm going to change my life, which you really have to do? How did you do that to say, I'm going to lose this weight and keep it off?
Well, I just got it in my head that, counting calories and portioning things out, and to a certain extent making smarter choices with food as well. But I wasn't going to eat anything special. I was going to eat normal food.
Okay.
I was not going to do the no carbs or do the
Right.
prepackaged
Right.
whatever. I was going to eat normal, plain, healthy food. And that's what I did. A lot of chicken and fish, some red meat, but not an over amount. Lots of fruits and vegetables, which I like anyway. Whole grain carbs and just healthy choices. And then portion control. And what I found over time was that I wasn't needing to go back for second and third helpings, that realistically, if I ate the right portions to begin with, plus I ate 3 healthy meals and 2 to 3 healthy snacks every day, so I'm eating every couple of hours, what I found was that I wasn't hungry. Mm-hmm. And it was spread out. It was enough food. Rather than in the past, I would go hours and hours and hours without eating anything. And then by the time I would eat, I was starving, and I would overeat. And through all this, I did a lot of different reading, different books and so forth, and different theories. And really what it came down to is what we all know, is you need to eat every 2 hours. Mm-hmm. Small amounts every couple of hours. And that's what I've gotten to. I mean, I go to work now, even at the fire station, and I take a lot of quick, easy snacks. And usually that's a piece of fruit, it's a yogurt. In some cases, I have protein bars or low-carb protein shakes. I have some of that stuff, but a lot of it is just fruits and yogurts and vegetables and carrot sticks and things like that I can eat quickly. They're low calories. They're healthy. They're all of those things that you need, and it's doing what it needs to do.
High-density nutrients without a lot of calories. Yeah. It makes you feel like you're full, and it makes you feel satisfied, and you don't have to have the bag of potato chips.
Correct.
And you don't have to have French fries, and you don't need to have a Big Mac, because even though they taste good.
Yes.
Well, let's get back to that. How did you reward yourself in all of this? Because no one can just lose weight.
Well, the thing of it is there were times over the course of the year, and Thanksgiving and Christmas were the 2 big ones. It's
Yes.
like, all right, how am I going to get through this and actually enjoy the holidays and everything, all the food that goes along with that? But again, it was the same thing. It was a matter of saying, all right, I'm going to have this piece of pumpkin pie, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. It's this many calories, it's this portion, and it's okay to have it. So I got up in the morning and we got things going, and Thanksgiving Day we actually had homemade cinnamon rolls for breakfast, which are high calories, high sugar and all of that. But I got up and I had that breakfast, and we got dinner in the oven and all the things we normally do Thanksgiving morning. And then I went out and I exercised. in between breakfast and dinner. So the extra calories that I was planning on eating and that I'd already eaten part of, I exercised them off. And that way when I got to dinner, and I still portioned out dinner, I still paid attention to how much I was eating. I didn't need to pile the plate, but I ate some of everything that I wanted to eat.
Do you actually weigh your food?
I do.
Good. And what kind of scale did you get?
I actually have a digital scale in the
Good.
kitchen.
Right.
And the biggest thing is a lot of packages, like I eat frozen vegetables all the time. You just figure out the portions on the bag, and you portion it out accordingly. It's already there for you. Meats, I absolutely weigh them out every single night. I go to eat a piece of chicken or fish or beef or whatever the case may be, and I portion it out and I weigh it out so that I know what I'm eating. And that's really the key, is knowing what I'm putting into my mouth and accounting for it, rather than just saying, it looks like this or it looks like that. I know exactly what I'm putting in my mouth. When I have a bowl of cereal in the morning, I actually take a measuring cup and I scoop out the cereal so that I know what's in the bowl. And I actually can count it, rather than guesstimating what I'm pouring out of the box.
Okay. So you've really changed your life.
Oh, without question.
Okay. And I just want to emphasize to everyone, the only way to have sustained weight loss, you have to make a commitment to change your life. It's philosophical, it's emotional, it's real. You have to have a plan, you have to stick to it. But in sticking to it, Mike, you told us you rewarded yourself with a piece of pumpkin pie. Absolutely. What sort of range did you keep your weight in as you were going down? Because you can't hit every number. Did you have a range that you said, okay, I'm down to 250 today, and in the next week I'd like to be in 250 to 246 or 246 to 252, and I'm on my way down. How did you manage a range of weight? Because normally we go up and down. All of us do. Well,
that's the thing with the counting of calories, and I programmed in that I wanted to lose 2 pounds a week average. That was my goal through the entire time, was to lose 2 pounds a week. And I planned my calories to have that deficit, which is basically 500 calories a day from what my normal calories are. And I just kept that going the entire time. And there were some weeks where I'd lose 3 or 4 pounds, but I didn't change my calories. I kept it at, because I didn't want to eat not enough calories. I wanted to make sure I ate enough calories to where I didn't start burning muscle and things like that. So I just kept that right at the same 2 pounds a week. And as my weight went down, my calories, the need was less. And the app on the iPhone just actually calculates that for you. As your weight goes down, it drops it 20 and 30 and 40 calories every time your weight goes down.
So you weren't actually gaining weight some weeks?
No. There were some weeks that I plateaued, that I
Yes.
just didn't lose anything.
Right.
And then I had to step back and take a look at, was I eating the right calories, which I knew I was, but the other big key was not getting enough water. This app also, calculates the amount of water, and you got to have at least 8 glasses a day. And the weeks where I plateaued, what I found was I wasn't drinking enough water. And as soon as I kicked up the water intake, didn't change my calories, but kicked up the water, then I'd get off the plateau and I would continue losing weight.
All right. In terms of fluid intake, what about, let me ask you, I don't mean to be personal here, but what did you do about alcohol?
I'm not big on a lot of alcohol to begin with. But again, it's one of those things, and it's funny because through the weight loss, the first 2 beers that I actually had were with my primary care physician. We had dinner together at his house with he and his wife. And again, it just, I know how many calories was in that beer, and I planned it into my day for my calories. I planned it into my exercise. And, I limited it to the 2 beers that I planned for, and it was okay. I mean, it was okay.
What I want to say to everyone is, for the most part, alcohol are just useless calories that are being added. And I'm not speaking for or against alcohol. I'm just saying there's a lot of calories that people consume.
Yes.
A lot of calories. It's not calories that help you in any meaningful way. It's just more sugar that's going into your body. In fact, Mike, what about sugary drinks? Did you drink them before?
I didn't, and that's the funny part of it is I drink Diet Coke primarily, and I always have. Even before. Would I occasionally drink Gatorades and things like that? Sure, I did. But when you start looking at calories, a regular soda is about 150 calories of almost pure sugar.
Right.
Versus a diet drink or water is 0 calories.
Right.
And back to the alcohol thing, the average beer is 150 calories. Yeah. So again, if you have 2 beers, there's anywhere from 300 to 400 calories depending on the beer. So if you're gonna do that, it's kind of like having a piece of pumpkin pie or apple pie. You got to plan for that 300 or 400 calories.
So let me enlarge on that for a moment. Most 12-ounce cans of pop are around 135, as you said,
Yep.
135 calories. If you take 135 calories per can, you have one a day for a year. That's 49,000 calories. 49,000, folks. That's 16 pounds. 49,000. One can a day.
That's all it takes.
49,000 calories. So you want an easy way to eliminate a lot of calories from your diet? Do either diet pop or do water, but get away from the sugary drinks. It adds up in an enormous hurry. That's 10 I'm going to say teaspoons or tablespoons, I'm not positive, of sugar per can of pop.
Teaspoon of sugar is 16 calories.
Yeah, a lot of calories. So it's teaspoons, 10 teaspoons of sugar per can of pop. Okay, so exercise has been a critical part of this. Now, if you hadn't been able to exercise as much as you do, what do you think would have happened? Because there's going to be some folks out there that say, I maybe could get onto this program, but I'm not sure I could do that amount of exercise. Were you an exerciser before?
I actually was not.
Uh-huh.
And the thing of it is counting your calories. The way the program that I followed works is it doesn't account for exercise. You can lose 2 pounds a week by simply cutting your calories. Mm-hmm. I mean, weight loss is one of 2 things. It's either calories lost or calories burned, one way or the other. Calories in versus calories out.
Thermodynamics.
So if you're not going to exercise as much, that means you just don't. Your body doesn't need it to begin with. You just don't eat as much. Mm-hmm. And the other thing that I found as far as the reading, because I hear this all the time, is, well, I don't like to run and I'm not going to be a runner. Well, you don't have to be. Mm-hmm. What a lot of the studies are showing is that a brisk walk will burn the same calories mm-hmm. as a jog or a run. Mm-hmm. So those that can't or just don't want to, it's not their interest, they don't have to run. Mm-hmm. You just got to move.
You got to move. So you could bike, you could dance, you could swim, you could do whatever.
Anything.
You got to move.
You just got to move. Move more, eat less.
Move more. I like that. Move more, eat less. Another way to possibly eat less, and I want to see what you think of this, is to use smaller plates.
That's kind of a deceptive way of doing it, but it absolutely works. If you use a very large plate, the general feeling is that you want to fill that plate.
Right.
Versus if you use a smaller plate, you still fill the plate, but it's obviously you can't fit as much on that plate. So it's deceptive, but it works, and you can do it whichever way you want to. But the way that I've found that absolutely works is knowing exactly what I'm putting in my mouth, and the only way to do that is to measure it out, weigh it out, whatever it takes, so that you know how many calories that you're using. I mean, you can even, and I did this at first until I kind of got a better idea of it, but the scale that I bought had a booklet where you put an apple on the scale, tells you how many grams are in that apple and how many calories that is. Because obviously all apples are not the same size. So that also kind of gave me a better idea of, well, if I eat this jumbo apple, is it really only 80 calories versus this tiny little apple, which is only about 50 calories? And it kind of gave me a better idea of that. I don't necessarily do that with fruit anymore because I buy an average size and I kind of know where it falls. But that can have an effect on it. But the absolute best way is to know how many calories, regardless of what size dish or anything else, how many calories you're putting into your mouth in the course of a day.
All right. Now, Mike, you're in a pretty stressful occupation between firefighting and EMS. There's a lot going on.
There is, depending on the day.
Depending on the day. And most of us, when we get stressful, we kind of reach for the sugar, for the fats. That makes us feel at least a little better. How do you deal with stress in your job to work through all of
Well, there are days that I come home that's been a busy day, a stressful day, whatever's going on, whatever issue's going on, and the way I deal with it is I go and I exercise and I burn it off that way, rather than reaching for something that's, unhealthy or whatever the case may be. The other thing I do is every morning when I get up and I get ready to go to work, I grab a bag and I pack my food for the day. And, now I know that the only thing I'm allowed to eat during the day is what I brought with me. But I bring what I need to bring. So when I need that snack or whatever, it's already planned into my calories for the day. And here's what I get to take with me, and it's fruits and yogurts and healthy things like that. That's what I reach for. I don't have to stop at the convenience store or stop at the local fast food place and grab a snack because I already have it at work with me. And I have a healthy choice instead.
So when a lot of folks watch TV or they're at whatever sort of event or spending time, they kind of mindlessly eat. It's something that's almost a reflex. And of course, the television is helping us do that. It's advertising all sorts of things. We get bombarded with marketing about all sorts of food products. How do we resist that sort of thing?
Well, again, it goes back to planning, and I'm one of those that ice cream is like my favorite dessert of
You
all
and me
time.
both. Yes.
And rather than saying no to the ice cream, I plan it into my calories for the day, and then I actually go get the bowl in the kitchen, put it on the scale, portion out my ice cream based on how many calories I'm allowed to have for the rest of the day, and then put the container back in the freezer, and I'm done with it. The other piece of this is, and again, through the reading, and I've read a bunch of different books on this, I don't eat anything after about 9 o'clock at night. So that in my average breakfast is between 6 and 7 o'clock in the morning. You want to give your body 8 to 10 hours of no food. That way your body, and most of that is while we're sleeping, is burning off what's already there. So that's what I do, is I don't say no to the ice cream. I say, yes, you can have this, but here's the amount you can have, and you got to do it before 9 o'clock. And then nothing before 6 a.m. the next morning.
I think this is so important, folks. The concept of rewarding yourself with the things you really like, within limits. If you take everything away, I just guarantee you there's no way to adhere to this sort of diet over any period of time. It's just not possible to do. We can't deprive ourselves. So we have to find the right ways to reward ourselves. Mike, you're very demanding of yourself and how you manage this. I don't know whether this is like Weight Watchers in terms of measuring all the calories or whichever one of these, but some folks still are not going to be able to do this. And you've read a lot of things about weight loss and diet and keeping weight off. For someone who just, whether it's philosophical or emotional or whatever it is, they just cannot adhere to this strict a regimen, what sort of things would you recommend to them?
Well, the thing of it is everybody looks at it as a strict regimen, but it really isn't. Mm-hmm. It's living life. It's eating food like you normally would, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, having a couple of snacks, but making smarter choices and knowing how many calories you're putting in. And knowing that, okay, if I'm going to eat 5,000 calories today, well, you know what? That's going to gain me 2 pounds at the end of the week. Versus if I make smarter choices and portion it out, maybe I'm only going to eat an extra couple of hundred calories, but you know what? After work today, I'm going to go for a walk and I'm going to burn those couple hundred calories off. Mm-hmm. So now you're even.
Okay.
So now you've balanced it out. It's not that bad. And then when you talk about exercise, as you know, it's good for your heart. It's good for your cholesterol levels. It's good for your sugar levels. It's good for your lungs and everything else. Just by getting out there and getting and it's good for your mental status. Just getting some exercise and getting your mind off from whatever else is going on.
I just want to emphasize again, to lose weight and keep it off, you have to change your way of living. This is a major change in lifestyle to really make this happen. Mike, I really believe in demonstrations. And you were a very big guy before. You're a much smaller guy now. Demonstrate that for us a little bit. What did your pants look like before?
Actually, these were the pants that I was in when I started versus what I'm wearing now, which is about 10 inches different.
Wow. That's just absolutely extraordinary. I know that my wife Connie doesn't believe in these reality programs. The only one that she thinks has any credibility is The Biggest Loser. That these folks make a tremendous commitment, and they really do lose weight and really do change their life. And
what that's all about is they're counting their calories, portioning out their food, and they're exercising. Now, granted, they're doing it over a 6-month period of time with trainers, and they're doing it where they're working out in the gym, 6 to 8 hours a day. That's their job for that amount of time. But it doesn't have to be that way. I mean, that's the extreme, and certainly that's going to work. But when they leave there, what are they going to do to maintain it? So as you've said before, it's a lifestyle change. It's a commitment to, this is how I'm going to live my life. And as busy as my schedule was, and thinking, I don't have time, when I decided that I was going to make the time, it's amazing how much time I actually have. I went for a run last night that took less than an hour, and I burnt off 1,100 calories in less than an hour. Now, that was a full-out run, and I'm training for another half marathon, but still, it was less than an hour. So if somebody went for a walk for an hour after work, kind of cleared their head, then went back and said, okay, now I'm going to do dinner and whatever else, it's an hour, a couple times a week, 3 times a week. That's all it takes. Maybe they're not going to burn 1,100 calories, but they'll burn 300 or 400 calories.
Right.
And, every 3,500 calories is a pound. So if you burn 3,500 calories in a week, there's your 1 pound a week weight loss, which is easy to maintain.
Folks, I can't imagine this being any clearer or better example and demonstration of what you can do when you're committed to doing it, have a plan, and follow through. We really do have an obesity crisis in this country. All you have to do is look around. Perhaps all you have to do is look in the mirror. You do want to measure your waist, calculate your BMI, talk to your physician. Think about this. Obesity is just associated with a whole lot of stuff that's bad for you. It's associated with diabetes. It's associated with heart disease and hypertension and cancer. You've got a chance to take better control of your life by doing things over which you have control. And I want to urge you to think about that, talk to your primary care physician about it, and I hope make a change in your lifestyle. We've got a perfect example here in Granby. We've got Lieutenant Mike. I'm going to start calling him now Dr. Mike after this interview. So this is Dr. Herb saying, hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Granby Mini Medical School, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye. And Mike, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I wonder if they'd like it better if I put a little cinnamon and allspice on the pumpkins.